We all know our cell phones, our cars, our household appliances, and other personal devices are always collecting data on us. We also know that that data can be sold on the open market. Sometimes it's sold to other corporations, sometimes it's sold to foreign adversaries, and sometimes it's sold to the US government and our nation's spy agencies. Yeah, that happens. And it's totally legal for the government to access, collect, process, and even store commercially available information on all of us that they can't legally collect using their own surveillance techniques. And because Congress refuses to pass comprehensive data privacy laws, the Director of National Intelligence just had to issue some new orders to all intelligence agencies like the FBI, CIA, NSA that limit how they buy and use that data. So before I tell you all about it, I want to thank my subscribers for voting for this story as the bonus this week. If you want to vote too, make sure you subscribe to my page during my next live event, or you can follow these steps and you can subscribe right now. Okay, earlier this month, the Intelligence Community Policy Framework for Commercially Available Information was released. Yeah, that's a mouthful. And according to the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, this commercially available information provides critical intelligence value and is instrumental in thwarting attacks and protecting Americans. When it comes to the collection and retention of this data, of course, the intelligence agencies must follow multiple laws, including the Constitution and Privacy Act of 1974, among many other laws that protect our civil liberties. But those laws don't really account for openly available data like this that can just be legally purchased. So these new rules, as limited as they are, actually go further than some of the laws on the books. Remember, data brokers are basically unregulated in this country, and those data troves that they're selling sweep up all kinds of sensitive and intimate personal details and activities of Americans. So when it gets purchased, the mundane data gets wrapped up with all this sensitive stuff too, and that becomes a problem when the purchaser is the US government. So I want to start with what these new orders do not do. They do not require the intelligence agencies to get a warrant before they purchase these troves of data, nor do they require a warrant before they search it. But what the order does do is give more protection to that sensitive personal data. The order defines sensitive personal data as data that is known to or expected to contain large volumes of material about Americans or U.S. companies, or data that could be used to identify specific Americans. The new orders also limit capturing data that could reveal personal affiliations or could establish pattern of life. This order says that type of sensitive, commercially available information that the U.S. government can legally purchase may have restricted access and/or may need approvals from supervisors before it can be looked at or purchased by the intelligence community. When it's appropriate, civil liberties officials and legal counsel will be consulted on who gets access to that sensitive information. And the sensitive information will go through periodic reviews to evaluate whether it needs to be deleted or perhaps needs to be elevated to a more restrictive level of access. Now, while it might not seem like a lot, this is actually more protection than we currently have. Lawmakers welcome these new orders from the DNI, but say they're just way too vague, while at the same time failing to pass any type of law to protect our personal data. Make it make sense. So if you want to read this new policy from the Director of National Intelligence, I will email it out to you in my next Newsgirl News Roundup email, so make sure you sign yourself up.